Come on in, come on in, come on in. God bless you. Just getting situated here. How are you all? Hello, hello, hello. I am Romonica Jones. I am your licensed counselor, and I don't have a lot of time. I actually have class tonight for 7 p.m. So I am going to just jump right on in, and we are going to get started with our eclectic counseling services training. Hello, 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 y'all. Invite your friends, invite your followers. We did do a scope on last Tuesday, and we are going to start off with the eclectic counseling scope today. Now, do not be dismayed, because we also have a scope that we also have a Facebook Live that is going to follow this one, and it is definitely going to place 100% complete emphasis on God, because He has just given me a very, 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 very good word that I've been bearing in my spirit, okay? So, y'all, welcome. Invite your followers. We are going to get right back to the Metamorphic Handbook. You can order your copy for the Metamorphic Queen as well as the Metamorphic King. You can order that at www.liveblessedglobalministries.com. Okay, so let's jump in and get started. Rule number 2 that we left off with, and I do apologize for waiting so long to get back to our handbooks, but rule number 2 is to identify your purpose. Okay. Everybody has a purpose. Each and every last one of us have a purpose. If you are a parent, if you are raising children, understand that that is one of the greatest purposes, for lack of a better word, that you could ever really have. Okay, so we never want to feel like, that just because you're not in corporate America, pumping the pavement or doing this or doing that, that does not mean that your purpose is any less than anyone else's. Okay, if you are an usher at your church, if you do sanitation work, whatever you do it with excellence. Just for our Christians out there, I'm reminded of this story in the Bible where this lady actually asked a man that was of high authority. She asked him, he said, "Do you know that there is a balm in Gilead?" Okay, so she was basically saying that there was a cure for what it is that he was suffering with, and I think he was actually suffering with leprosy. So I'm not sure if that's the exact scripture that she used, but what her purpose was at that time was to point him into the direction of his healing. So even if you're not able to be the medicine that that person need, or to provide the counseling or the love or the support, sometimes your purpose is to send them in the direction so that they can get the help that they need. Okay, so even as parents, is that not what we're doing with our children? When you're raising your child in the way that they should go, you're pointing them in the direction that they should go in. You're leading them, you're guiding them, you're helping to order their steps so that the will of the Lord can be done in their lives. Okay, so with that being said, never compare your purpose to somebody else's purpose. But what you are to do is find joy and to find value and to understand the quality that is in what you are doing. That you were chosen to perform that role, which means nobody else can do that role as good as you do it. So to that child that you're raising, nobody else can be a better father to that child. No one else can be a better mother to that child. No one else can be the best secretary at that job. No one else can file the paperwork like you do. No one else can clean or do sanitation the way that you do it. So as you find value and quality in what you bring to the roles that you play, then you're actually tapping into your purpose. I want to say this to you as well. And this is what the Holy Spirit just dropped in my spirit. Thank you, Miss Mott. Love you, lady. Love you, Dominique. Good to see you. The Holy Spirit just dropped in my spirit. Sometimes when you do what you're called to do to the best level that you're supposed to do it to, okay? Sometimes you're not necessarily supposed to be in that role forever. But if you do that role well, whether it's parenting, whether it's a janitor at a school, whether it's a coach. If you do that role well, what will happen is that those qualities and those characteristics that you possess will begin to show up in that role. And you will find out, you know what, I'm organized. You know, I'm a leader. I am compassionate. I'm understanding. So sometimes roles that you're in for a season actually pull out of you the characteristics that you need to identify that's going to be necessary for the next role or for the promotion that you're getting ready to step into. But if you don't take honor in the role that you're at, then those characteristics will never be brought forth. Those qualities will never be identified nor magnified. And so if they're not identified, then that's also what keeps us at that same place and not moving forward. So if you do what you're called to do well, then oftentimes you will gain the qualities, the characteristics, you will begin to shine. And it is in those characteristic formation that you will be able to be promoted to your next level in your career, your personal life, your ministry, your church, or whatso have you. So that is what they actually call career counseling, okay? So we're actually kind of like tying in the spiritual with also tying in for our spiritual clients. We're tying in the counseling and the psychology that is behind those things. And the reason why that is important is because when you perform a job that flows with your natural character and it's your natural personality, then what happens is that that job becomes easier for you to do because it's no longer a job. It is now who you are. So who you are begins to define you. So when you are naturally compassionate, when you're naturally giving, when you're a natural speaker, a natural talker, you're naturally in tune with your emotions, then when you become a counselor, it's a natural job. It's a natural thing because that job identifies with your true and natural identity. So you don't have to change who you are to fit the mold of what it is that you're doing, because whatever you're doing, your job, your career, because it matches up with your personality, then guess what? Your career matches who you are. So it matches, you know, it goes in alignment with what you do, okay? So that's why it's very important to do whatever we do well. When that lady at the time in the Bible, they say she was like fluffing the pillows. She was like a slave to this leader who had leprosy. So even though she was a slave, she did not look at her job as she's just this bond servant. She's enslaved to him. She did not look at it like that. She did it well. I guess she figured, you know what? She might be enslaved, but she still was going to help that person that was over her. And she began to guide him and she began to direct him. And he was able to find the healing that he did because she did not limit herself to her role, but she remained true and loyal to her true identity, which was actually a caring identity, a nurturing identity, a giving identity. You have to be nurturing and caring and giving to help the person that has you enslaved, okay? So she was just tapping into who she was, and that led to that man's healing. And who knows if promotion came to her because of that. This is good. I love it. So identify your purpose. We're going to be very brief because we have a word from God, which I cannot leave out today. It says, instead of dominating aimlessly, are you dominating in the area that you are designed to succeed in? This question describes your purpose. So some people, when they've not figured out their purpose, they're dominating everything. They dominate the card game. They dominate, you know, who's going to put this party together. They dominate this church, you know, this church entity or this church program or whatnot. You know, they dominate in this area. They dominate at this job. They dominate in areas of the job that they're not even supposed to be working in. And so a personality like that, they are dominating aimlessly. They're throwing out energy towards everything. And when they do that, they're not putting the focus on the area that they really should be focusing on developing, okay? So when we say that, it tells us that that, you know, they even have a saying out there that says that the person is a trade of many, is a jack of all trades, but a master of none. Okay. So you have personalities when you're trying to find your purpose. It's kind of like you're dominating everything. You're trying to do this and trying to do that and trying to do this. But if you really put that energy into finding out who you naturally are, what do you naturally like to do, and if you build in that area, then you will actually see results from that. My aunt once told me years ago, she said, you know what, Romonica, do something that you love to do. Do something that you would do for free. Do something that you would volunteer for. Do something that would keep you at the office or keep you up late at night, long past work hours, even though you're not getting paid. She said, when you find that thing is going to give you revenue. That thing is going to prosper you, because it is your passion that brings about the prosperity. Sometimes we're trying to get prosperity out of things that we're not passionate for. We're trying to get prosperity out of dominating this, just feel like we ought to be a boss. Well, if you are a boss and you don't have direction, guess what? You're bossing nothing, because your aimlessness is actually bossing you. So you have to put that power into a direction. You have to have purpose for that power. And when you do that, you're hitting up against something that as you continue to devote to it, as you continue to sacrifice, it will eventually, just like a water well, it will bust open and bring forth overflow and water flow for you. Okay. So even as you're paying your tithes to our church goers, paying your tithes to the church, also begin to serve within yourself and see how you can invest in yourself. See how you can invest in yourself. See what it is that you're passionate about, so that you can be intentional about developing that, so that that will be the very thing that would get revenue to you. Okay. Some people are very meticulous with details. Okay. So even if you have a person that is a janitor, or, you know, it's the fact that they're very key to details. So they use that part of their personality to get into places and to see things and to fix things and to correct things, or even clean things that nobody else would even see or pay attention to. And so that makes them a master at what they do in that area. And it is the mastering of what you do that allows you to go up the ladder, that allows you to be seen and chosen far above other people that are doing the same job, but they're not doing it to the level or to the quality or even the value that you are doing it at. For our Christian goers, here it is, Genesis 2:15-18. And the Lord God took the man and put him into the Garden of Eden to dress it and to keep it. So we want to get some Bible on this, right? You don't want to just take my word for it. And the Lord God took the man and put him into the Garden of Eden to dress it and to keep it. And the Lord God commanded the man, saying, of every tree of the garden thou mayest freely eat, but of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil thou shalt not eat of it, for in the day that thou eatest thereof thou shalt surely die. And the Lord God said, it is not good that the man should be alone. I will make him an helpmeet for him. All right, now I know y'all was wondering, where we going with that? Well, this is where we're going for that. Number one, also in the Bible, I'm thinking even before that verse, the Lord had given Adam an assignment. And the assignment that he had given Adam was to name all of the animals, okay? So he actually was in his purpose, okay? So how do we tie that into here? It is not good that the man should be alone. I will make him an helpmeet for him. So an helpmeet is where Eve came in at, okay? But this is the thing. Would he need a helpmeet if he was not doing anything? All right. The helpmeet comes to meet him at the point in which he needs help. So if that man has not found his purpose, or if that woman has not found her purpose, then why would you be asking God to send you a helpmate? Why would you be asking God to send somebody to further your purpose if you are outside of your purpose? Okay, one of the things we want to look at too is that your purpose, that's right, come on somebody, that's right. Thank you, Doug Warren, I appreciate that. One of the important reasons of why we should find our purpose is because, and that's how it goes right into, it is not good that man should be alone. I will make him an helpmeet for him. The importance of that is this: if you do not have your purpose, if you've not found your purpose within yourself for what God has called you to do, or if you don't believe in God, whatever higher power that you do believe in or life has called you to do, if you have not found or tapped into your purpose, you will begin to look for people to fill that void in your life. Okay, and when you look for people to fill that void of your purpose in your life, then it becomes an incompletion. You're not complete, you're not whole, and which means that you're not able to really help them, you're not able to really pour into them, because you're draining from them to fill a void that is within you that only your purpose can fill. That is why so many people today, and I want to tap on us women a little bit, if I could just be real, right? You know, so many women, it's like we put our lives on hold until we get married, because we feel like we don't have a purpose outside of the role of a wife. But when you actually tap into your purpose outside of that role, well, then you're coming to that relationship being a whole person, being able to stand on your own, having your own identity, knowing your own purpose. And when you're whole in yourself, then you're able to, out of your wholeness, you're able to be a helpmate to build someone else up, right? We do know that the psychology say like, so we're gonna mix that in a little bit. So if you are a woman who loves to teach, you are very big into education. Well, if you deny yourself operating in your purpose and in your identity, what happens when you meet Mr. Right and you find out that he loves to teach and he's very big in education? Well, what happens is that you take the knowledge that you have and he brings the knowledge that he has, and together you all are a force. Together you all are a unit that both have a purpose that is targeted towards the expansion of education, whether it's being a teacher, whether it's opening up your own school, or whatever it is that you all do. But that iron is able to sharpen iron, and you're able to draw wisdom and knowledge from each other, and you're actually able to be each other's helpmate. But if that man or if that woman is not walking in their purpose, well, when they meet their mate, they don't have anything to bring to the table. They don't have the wisdom or the knowledge that they were supposed to get out of the experience of becoming whole. And so they come to the table with a lack. They come to the table with a void. They come to the table with a need, instead of bringing to the table of wholeness and bringing to the table the ability to truly be a helpmate to that person that has attracted each other. Okay, so even for our singles, it is important for you to find your identity, and it is important for you to find your purpose, because when you do that, that is how you often attract the person that you're supposed to be with. Okay, so not only do you attract that person through your wholeness and through finding your identity and your purpose, but you're also able to serve as a helpmate to them, because you're able to bring your wisdom and your knowledge and your experience to the table. See, y'all don't think that the counselor is going to bring it home, but guess what? I'm going to bring it home to you, and I'm going to make it relevant for you. Okay, so finding your purpose and your identity is very key. It's a lot of marriages that have been strained because it's like, you know, the man or the woman, his whole life, his whole world is just being with that mate, being with that person, and they don't have anything else to talk about outside of that. They don't have anything going on their own. And when we do that, we place a responsibility on our partner that is unbearable. Okay, okay? Because, the only thing is like, where were you at for lunch, and what happened when you didn't come home at this time? And the person could be going to a meeting, or they could be going to a training, but because we're not operating in our purpose and we're using them to fill that void, it actually suffocates the relationship. And that's where the word comes from, of being needy. Being needy comes from a lack of purpose and a lack of identity. And we can also do that to our children as well, where we're overly being a mother. It's like, well, what did you all eat for lunch today, and who spoke to you, and what did they say, and how did they do it? And it's because we're operating so in that role, because we don't have a role or identity within ourselves, and so we suffocate that child, or we suffocate that mate. Whew, this is good. We're getting it in. We are getting it together. The first question is, what would you do for free? Okay, so this is me. In this book, we want to help you to find your purpose and your identity. And like we say, no role is small. Okay, because every role is oftentimes a stepping stone and a learning tool to help get you to your next role. So it gets you up and up and up the ladder. I will be very transparent. Before, of course, I became a counselor. Also, my name means counselor, so I was always a natural counselor. But I'll never forget when I worked at a fast food restaurant, Hardee's. And when I worked at Hardee's restaurant, I was the janitor, so I was cleaning up, and I paid very close to details. I was very, I always paid attention to details. I always was asked to be a leader. So even though I wasn't a manager, I was just like a cashier / a janitor. They would always ask me to run the front end of the of the counter, or to run the drive-through. And so if I would have despised those humble beginnings, then I would not have had the wisdom and the knowledge that I needed to be CEO of Eclectic Counseling Services. Because even today, I'm very meticulous about details. I'm very meticulous about the wording that I use, or the way that I write the email. On top of that, when the managers trusted me to be a leader, I didn't know that they were doing this, but they were building my leadership skills. They were calling me out. They were saying, no, Romonica, come to the front, run the cash register, run the front end, run the dining in area. So they were calling that leadership out of me, that same leadershipness, for lack of a better word, that I would need to be able to run this company. So I didn't go to that restaurant thinking that I knew everything, but they began to see those things because I was detailed and because I was orderly, and they began to highlight those things. So I never want us to despise our humble beginnings, and I never want us to compare where we're at today versus where we're being called to be, or where God is getting ready to bring us to. Okay, so despise not the humble beginnings, but in those small things, you're able to find the character that you will build on to bring you to your next level. Okay, so one of the questions that we're asking for you to be able to identify your purpose and to find your own identity. And if you're just tuned in, make sure you hit the replay button. This is very, very good. And like I say, after we complete this one, we're going to go straight into the word of the Lord, and I'm going to, because I have class tonight. Amen. The first question is, what would you do for free? What would you do for free? What comes natural to you? What do others say you do exceptionally well? Okay, so that's helping you to find your purpose. We know that Adam was called to name the names of the animals, so he was actually the first nomenclature. So nomenclature means a person that gives scientific names. So Adam was the first scientist. He was the first nomenclature. So, and from there, because we are sons and daughters of Adam, we have purpose of our own. Okay, so in finding our purpose, we must ask ourselves, what would we do for free? What comes natural to us? What do others brag on us and say that we do well? The next thing is this: sometimes when we become an adult, we begin to lose the faith, and we begin to lose the dream to aspire to be more than what life has brought to us. Sometimes we begin to settle into life. We settle into circumstances. We settle into parenting. We settle into what our community offers us. We settle into what the losses that we have suffered. We allow those losses to downgrade how we see ourselves, and we begin to just settle. So the next question to maybe offset that thought, that frame of thought, for lack of a better word, would be to ask ourselves, who would your teenage self advise you to become? When you were a teenager, what did you say you would do? What was burning in your heart? What did you always brag and say, y'all, look, as soon as I get this age, this is where your girl is going. This is what your guy's going to be doing. And so you might want to tap back into that. Let's say if you said you would be an NFL player, okay? And let's say that you're now 40 years old, and let's say maybe that NFL just did not show up in the cards for you. Well, as we've already stated, this is how you're going to take the characteristics that you naturally have and use that to build upon. So if you wanted to be an NFL player as a teenager, you're 40, 45 years old now. What about being a coach? Have you considered being a coach at a junior high school, at a college school, at a high school? So you can still use those natural characteristics to tap into your next level of where it is that you are destined to go. What are you doing when you feel most fulfilled? So what is it that gives you your high? Like, you know what, y'all, I love organizing these meetings. I love volunteering at this girls group. I love doing this, and despise not volunteering. Before I worked at the court for 5 years, I actually volunteered at the court. So that's how I was able to kind of get my foot in a little bit. And I was able to make connections. So I volunteered. I worked for free. And I worked with families, and I worked with cases that was abused and neglected. And so from there, it began to develop an even more hunger and a more thirst. But more than anything, it developed the experience that I needed to get me to where I'm at now. So if you do have to volunteer somewhere, don't think that just because you're not getting paid monetarily, don't think that you won't be getting paid in a different area, because it could be building up your strength. It could be building up your experience to get you right where you need to be in that season of promotion. Okay, your purpose is what you were created to do. Therefore, your purpose breeds intentional success. And we've already said that we do not want to go throughout life giving out aimless energy. Go throughout life giving aimless energy, but we want to set our energy intentional so that we can get those target goals. Amen. Also, what we have here, though success in this area is not overnight, if your steps are ordered, success becomes sure. Okay, so it's never too late. You're never too old to get back in the game. Ask yourself these questions. Allow these thoughts to provoke something in you, to awake that sleeping giant, to awaken you from that area of defeat or even that area of depression where you settled in yourself that you would not be able to do it, or it was too late for you to do it, or because your family said this, or because this happened, or because that happened. Allow these questions to awaken that, so not only that you might be blessed in terms of your increase, but that your soul might be blessed. Okay, and when I say that, I know that sounds kind of deep, like, you know, how did that get thrown in there? But your soul is blessed when you are doing what you were purposed to do. It is the most fulfilling thing in the world to wake up every morning knowing that I am right where God created me to be. I am right where I am created and destined to be. So this fulfillment goes far beyond money. Okay, that's why we say, is it something that you would do for free? Because your true purpose and your true identity is something that you would do if nobody paid you for it. And it's because the payment is more than physical. It's an internal fulfillment. And when you tap into that internal fulfillment, it actually aspires you to become your best self. Okay, a lot of times we are disgruntled. We are, upset with other people because it's like, why she always happy? Why he always smiling? What's so good about this morning? Okay, you just have people that are just party poopers, so to speak. And a lot of times it's because those people have not tapped into their purpose. And so they have settled for a lifestyle that is outside of who they were created to be. And when we settle for that lifestyle outside of who we were created to be, or that role, what happens is that role begins to drain life from us. Okay, it drains life from us because it's just like a fish being out of water. It's not the environment that we are called to thrive in, to grow in, to strive in, to progress in. So when we're outside of that thriving environment, it's kind of like being in a dry and weary land. And over time, being outside of your purpose will dry up your life. It will dry up your energy. It will dry up your desire. It'll dry up your dream. And it'll dry us up to the point where it's like, okay, what am I even doing here? What is my purpose? What effect am I really causing in the earth? Okay. So a lot of that depression comes from us operating in a dry place outside of the environment that we were created to be in and outside of the person or the place in which God had called us to be at. Okay. So I want us to keep those things in mind. And sometimes it looks like, you know what, that's just too far-fetched. You're going too far. How did we get from purpose all the way to now questioning your meaning for life? And the reason why I say that is because your purpose brings life. Okay, your purpose brings energy. Your purpose brings joy. Your purpose brings strength. Your purpose brings everything that you need to live that life more abundantly that Jesus Christ speaks of in the Bible as it relates to our Christians. So when we're operating outside of our purpose, then it drains life. Okay, it drains energy. It does the exact opposite. So when you're in your purpose, you wake up wanting to know, okay, look, what's the plan today? What am I doing today? When you're in your purpose, you wake up on fire, and your purpose brings the energy that you will need to progress in that intentional area. Your purpose brings the energy that you will need to progress in that intentional area. And that is what I personally want to thank God for. God is so strategic that when he gives you a purpose, he allows that same thing that you're feeding to in turn feed you. So you're feeding the purpose, and the purpose is feeding you, and you're feeding the purpose, and the purpose is feeding you. And when you have that level of energy, consistent energy going back and forth, you cannot help but to grow, to prosper, to progress, and get to that goal that God has in mind. Or for those who don't believe in God, because we are non-discriminational evangelists, let's say that for those who don't believe in God, it will get you to the aim of whatever it is that your heart desire for you. Okay, so but I say that God just has a way of setting things up where it feeds each other. Your purpose feed you, you feed your purpose, and then in the end, you have found your purpose. You have found your identity. You're not looking for man to fill that void for you. You're not looking for external people or even money. Some people look for money, or they look for cars to fill that void, and they're spending their money and they're going bankrupt, and all these credit cards, sky up to the limit. And so you're not looking for things to fill that void, because you have tapped into that purpose that's in the inner of you. And that inner purpose is bringing you joy, and it's feeding you, and it's giving you everything: fulfillment, a great quality of life, as well as prosperity, as well as the energy that is required to take that natural characteristic, because it's going to be a part of who you are. Okay. In my opinion, God will not call you to do something that is not somewhat naturally to who you are. Okay, so when we say that, Moses had a natural heart for the children of Israel before God ever called him to lead them out of captivity. Okay, so even Joshua had a natural desire to want to see the children of Israel access their promised land well before Moses passed away, passing the baton to him for him to take on that role. So a lot of times, whatever your purpose is, it's automatically tied into your natural character, and both feed off of each other. The purpose feed you, you feed the purpose, thereby allowing you to have God allowing you to have everything that you need in between those dynamics to take get that thing he called you to do to the next level. So that is why you have everything that you need. That's why no weapon formed against you will be able to prosper. Come on, somebody, because you got everything that you need. That's why you have the power to trample over serpents and scorpions, because anything that comes against you, that dynamic feeding each other, is going to work together to overcome those forces and those challenges that is standing in your way. And so that's why those Bible verses even more so hold truth, because of those dynamics that God has already strategically placed in the inside of calling us to be who he has predestined us to be. And also what is our just given natural identity and natural purpose. Thank you all so much for tuning in. I'm going to jump off here and jump right back, because we have a powerful word from the Lord and you do not want to miss this. Please visit our website at www.liveblessedglobalministries.com. You can also visit us at www.eclecticcounselingservices.com. And I do want to clarify that we're not pushing any of our Christian or religious beliefs on any of our viewers, because we know that this is also for our staff members to receive training, as well as any potential clients, or as well as any other mental health professionals who are interested in the counseling field. So we are not pushing any of our Christian views on our viewers. Just want to also speak to those who are Christians, because we have a lot of Christian clients here, or Christian-based even counselors. So we want to speak to both parties, and we do not want to be biased to either party. Okay, thank you all. God bless you all. I'm going to jump off and we're going to jump right back in so that we can hear what the word is for today. Thank you, and God bless you.